Congratulations, you just made your first knowledge graph. So in these knowledge graphs, you use something that is called a triple. So essentially, when you want to use a knowledge graph inside a system, a graph like this, obviously it's going to be very difficult to draw it and somehow read a drawing into your system. So we need a representation that's text readable. And this representation is known as a triple. Triple because there are three parts. There is a subject, a predicate, and an object. Very often, predicate is also called property. Comes a bit from a different standard, different technology. So don't get confused. Predicate and property mean the same thing in this context. For example, if we look at this graph here, we can write down the graph in form of triples that look like this. We have a subject, Bob. We have a predicate, is a, and an object, person. Yeah, the part of the graph that has this information here, Bob is a person, we can write down in form of a triple: subject, predicate, and object. Similarly, the information that Bob is a friend of Alice, we write down in form of a triple. Again, the same subject, Bob. So you can see we have one subject here and multiple connections going out. And in this case, Bob is a friend of Alice, and so on. So we can encode this whole graph in form of triples. And that's essentially the whole representation format for knowledge graphs in a system. Triples of the form subject, predicate, object. So a very simple representation, but quite powerful in what you can do with it. And in the worksheet, you've already seen that these knowledge graphs are perfect for further adding more information, for enhancing it, for connecting it with other sources of information. If you ever worked with a database, relational database, you know that you have to fix a schema at the very beginning. And then later on, it's very hard to make any changes or additions to the schema. It's very fixed, it's very inflexible. But a knowledge graph, we can extend with all kinds of information. Now we can add further information to Alice. We can add information about other things Bob is interested in, other connections to other paintings done by Leonardo da Vinci. So this can be continuously grown and extended without any need for modifying a fixed schema somewhere. So to check that you understood this representation of triples, there are two more exercises on the worksheet. So in task number 3, you have to show that you understand this representation format of triples and translate the graph, the first 3 parts from task number 1, into 3 triples. And then the other way around, there is another triple given here, and you have to translate it back into a graph and add it to the one from task 1. And when you're done, I'm going to see you in the next lecture part. See you then.